Hi friends, I want to go ahead and get this video out because I want to talk about Milo before things get crazy on that last video where I mentioned to pray for Milo. Okay, so we're gonna have a little chat, but remember, I do always, I'm always open to people's advice. But one thing I learned as a dog trainer is, is to ask more questions until we can actually come to a conclusion of helping somebody. We always used to have to get all the facts as much as possible, because sometimes people can jump to conclusions without having full facts. Like someone can come up and say, my dog doesn't like people. And you could go, as a dog trainer, you could go, okay, what does that mean? My dog doesn't like people. That's not enough information to make a conclusion of what they're talking about, so that we'd have to say, okay, then what does the dog do when he sees the person? Well, he barks at the person, and then we'd have to go, okay, what do you mean barks? Because, there's a happy bark, there's a, defensive bark, there's an offensive, it also depends on what's happening with the whole dog. Where are his ears? Where is his tail? Does he have hackles up? Where, you're also looking at the eyes of the dog and position of everything, head, body. Is it lunging at the person, or is it pulling back as it's barking? Okay, so that's all defensive or offense. Okay, so there's so much that, we have to, because in case you don't know, I was a former dog trainer. Okay, so I know about dog behavior, reading dogs. I was a dog trainer for 16 and a half years, and I groomed dogs for a couple of years. So I know a lot about dogs' coats as well as how to read dog behavior. Okay, so as a groomer, oops, sorry, Milo. Trying to keep you in the picture if I can. So one of the things too to keep in mind is dogs have different kinds of coats. Okay, there's different breeds. We have push nose breeds, dogs that have the longer snouts. The dogs that have longer snouts are going to be able to cool themselves down better, and actually will stay warmer and be able to be cooler than this type of breed. This type of breed, you have to remember, they have shortened their snout and their respiratory tract. So basically this breed can get hypothermia and hypothermia. So hyper and hypo very easily. Okay, so it's not the same as a dog that has a snout. Okay, that's number one. And also you're looking at the type of coat that they have. Okay, my particular breed, and all of my Griffs except for one, I've had 4 Brussels Griffons, and only one was like whatever about most temperatures, but not common. But all the other ones planted themselves on heaters all the time. In fact, I was like, wait a minute, is there something wrong with my dogs? Why are they always on the heater? It's crazy on how much they wanted to be, by the heater all the time. I almost thought, like, do they have any blood? And especially Milo. Milo was probably one of the ones that was the most sensitive when it came to being cold. Okay, He lived by that floor heater a lot. And he's just always been that way, but he's also been my smooth coat, my first smooth coat. All my other Brussels Griffons have been a rough coated, or we call that, they have the beard and everything like Buster. If you didn't know Buster, he was my rough coat. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. I mean, the other ones did go by the heater, but definitely more this guy. Okay, so even though this coat sheds more, the other ones didn't, he still wanted to be by the heater more. The other thing is that they don't have the type of coat to help keep them warm. They really don't. So he's been wearing clothes ever since he was a puppy. Okay, all of my Griffons, they wore coats, they wore sweaters, because I know I was a part of a Griff group, and I learned a lot about my breed, and they said yes, it is a common thing for Griffs to get cold or be cold very easily. Okay, and especially this little guy. So he's always been used to wearing clothing. It's nothing new. All right, he's always wear tank shirts and sweaters and things like that his whole life. So with that in mind, when we are dealing with the Pacific Northwest weather, it is very cold here. It is a damp cold. It is a wet cold. So as you know, as a person, we have to be wearing things that are breathable. You got to watch out for clothing that is actually going to trap in moisture. Okay, so I know enough about dealing with the cold, being in the cold, and the same thing with the clothing that you're going to want to put on a pet. I actually wear a lot of thermal. I wear 2 sets of clothes all the time. I have thermal pants on underneath my pants, and sometimes I've even done it underneath my shirt, but I make sure that my thermal clothing is highly breathable. Okay, because that way you won't feel, it's going to keep you warm. It's going to keep your temperature, your body temperature, warmer, where if you trap in moisture, then you're going to make yourself feel more cold. Okay, sorry, I feel like I have something in my eye. Sorry about this. But anyways, so same thing with Milo. I have to keep him warm, but also I'm very careful without trapping in moisture as well. But I know myself, when especially the nightfall, going into the night, we've been getting frost. We're down to 30 degrees, 32 degrees, and it's a wet cold, so it's frosty out. It's that bad. Okay, so even inside here, I have the van at 71 degrees, and honestly, it can feel like it's 60 degrees, you know, so 10 degrees, you know, sometimes colder. But even though not as cold as outside, because it's 32 degrees out there, but there's just this coldness that you just feel in the air from the dampness, which is way different than a dry cold or the Arizona cold. They're dealing more with wind and the wind chill factor, which is also not fun either, but honestly, I'd rather deal with that than a wet cold. I went to Arizona for 2 years because I wanted to see if it made a difference with my arthritis being in a dry cold versus a wet cold. And honestly, it made a huge difference for me. As you know, I have arthritis in my hips and throughout my body, and my fingers, and you know, my knee and my shoulder, and just throughout my body. So and also my spine. Okay, so it's huge difference. I mean, unless you feel it and you know it, and can go to Arizona and go into that southern part of Arizona where they have that drier cold. I mean, I can see why everybody moves to that area, or Kingman, or I don't know. They move all over that. Well, Keeming, I'm not sure. That's might be I don't know. I still heard Keeming is not too bad to go there, but Yuma or, you know, all that area. Sure, it gets cold, but it's nowhere different than those areas where it is, you know, just, you know, bitter cold. Okay. My body hurts more being here through this winter. I'm trying to get through it, so I keep thinking one more month, and the same thing for Milo. So Milo and I are both struggling right now getting through this winter. This is definitely the last winter I hope to ever be in the Pacific Northwest, and I will be talking to doctors about this, that I definitely want to make a change with my domicile, where I live, and hopefully work on a transition of going to Arizona, because it is definitely a whole different climate, and that can affect your arthritis. Same thing for Milo. Now, when it is cold, you're going to hurt more. So even though I know it looks like his clothing might be restricting him, but it's really not, because all of his clothing is always bigger. I always buy the larger sizes because he has a really broad rib cage, because he has the pug blood in him. So all of his clothing is way larger to get around all of this bigness that he is up at the top. In fact, and then his pajama thing that he wears, I've had to tuck it in and sew it underneath and around his where he goes to the bathroom, you know. So it's like, it's really super big. It's very super big everywhere, because it's just how I have to buy his clothes to fit around his body frame. Okay, so the most important thing is to keep him warm when he is outside, and all of his clothing does not restrict his movement, because it's always bigger. Okay, but not so big he's falling out of it, but it's not tight, even though I know on your end it may look that way. But honestly, when I go out there, I have to try to stay as warm as I can, because that cold, once it sets into your bones, and that pain sets in, I mean, it cripples you. It really does. It's crippling. So keeping warm is absolutely vital and important. Okay, I could not do that and keep him warm in here, and even just underneath the covers he would be shivering, and I've actually seen him shiver. He will literally shiver because he's cold. That's how cold he can get. But he's not shivering. He's very comfortable. If I was to take all of this off, he'd be shivering even under the covers. And he's not a dog that likes to have covers on him. He throws everything off. Unless I'm holding him and wrapping him around a blanket, then he's fine, or by a campfire. But when we're in bed, I'm always trying to cover him. He's throwing covers off of him. He doesn't like the covers completely, especially from this part down. You know, he's getting them off, and then somebody's kicking them off. He just doesn't want to be, he's not that kind of dog. He really isn't. Unless I'm holding him in a blanket, then he's content and fine that way. Okay? So I wanted to clear that up, because, you know, I don't want anybody to think that I'm doing him more harm by having the clothing on him when I'm not. Okay, now he's been fighting spinal issues for several years with his spine. It's something he got diagnosed at a pretty early age of a spinal issue right up towards the center of his back, towards the rear. He started doing this little scurry thing, and he'd put his rear real low, and he'd have episodes. Now, I've gotten him through every episode he's ever had, and he's had several of them in the past, and I've gotten him through it. But this is the first time that he's had a little bit of swelling up in one of his arms, okay, because this is fairly new, but he probably got some arthritis going on now up in his shoulder, which can happen as they age. But I know a lot of PT exercises for dogs because I had 2 German Shepherds that had a boatload of problems and shoulder arthritis. My male Shepherd had many surgeries in one knee and then one in the other knee. I had a German Shepherd that had degenerative myelopathy. Okay, so she was losing all feeling in her rear end. It's kind of like multiple sclerosis, you know, that humans get. So I had taken them to one of the best kind of like physical therapist type doctors that we have out in Portland called Back on Track with Dr. Shaw. She's amazing doctor. So I learned all these exercises and massages and everything to do to help dogs when they get arthritis and in their shoulders and in their paws, and you know, so I'm doing those same kind of exercises and massages and stuff that I did with my Shepherds, because my male Shepherd had some issues that came along his spine as well as in his shoulders and then plus his legs. So I've been through this before. I'm not new at it. And I've gotten several senior dogs through a lot of issues. And so at this point, it's just to get this, I believe this leg is a little just more inflamed, get this better, and then work on strengthening up his back. He's very stiff in the morning, but he does, I could see he loosens up by the afternoon when we warm up a little bit, and that's like me too. I'm very slow in the morning, but as I wake up and it warms up a bit, then I'm not so stiff, you know. I mean, I still have the pain, but the pain also gets a little bit better too. So look, I'm familiar with arthritis. I know what it feels like, and to go through that in our damp, wet Pacific Northwest. So I'm just trying to get us all through the next few months, and we warm up, and oh my gosh, and be in warmer areas hopefully from then on. So anyways, I just wanted to give you just a summary of everything, so everybody doesn't you know, get or jump to the wrong conclusions about him. And I've asked for prayer because again, he is getting up there in age, and you know, you just never know, you know, and what is going to be the one thing that could cause us to lose our fur babies. But I'm also a strong person. When I had Buster, I lived every day from the time he became, he had a, as you know, a grade 4 heart condition. And I knew once he went to grade 4, I could lose him any day. And he lived a year beyond that point. And I knew every day was a blessing with him. Did I dwell on it? No. We laughed. We had a good time. We went to Arizona. We did our little walkie-walkie. I didn't dwell on it, so my channel won't be dwelling on this. You know, I live in the moment. I live for now. And right now, he's with me. I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to enjoy every moment that I have with him. I cannot think he could live a couple more years. I don't know. I just know we have a setback right now a little bit. We've had him before, and I'm very hopeful we're going to get through this. But, you know, until that happens or whenever, you know, I'm just, this is today, and he's with me today. I'm going, like I said, I'm just going to enjoy him. I mean, I'm a very strong person. My Brussels Griffon, I had another one that got diagnosed with necrotizing encephalitis. They call it the pug dog encephalitis. So they gave me 1 day to 1 year with him, and he lived almost a year with that. And so once I cried and got out, because he shocked me, because he was like 9, when I got the news, and he lived to 10, and I thought he was going to live several more years. So once you get over the shock of, oh my God, my dog has a terminal illness, then I said, okay, well, now we live in the moment. Now we live for now. Now we're going to enjoy. We're going to be happy. We're going to just, live out the rest of this life and make it good, okay? And that's what I'm always going to be doing with all of my dogs. The grieving part is not when they're with you. Of course, when you lose them, that's when you go through that process of it, but not before. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to live for today. I'm going to live right now. I'm going to enjoy and laugh and giggle and look at every little thing that he does when he plays with his little babies, and we have all his little fun with his little babies. That's now. That's this moment, okay? And every moment is precious. Okay, so I don't want this to get too long. I just want to let you know where I stand with the situation. And I've got him on his med protocol. My vet thoroughly taught me how to take care of him. I've had the same vet for 20-something or 20 years or whatever it is. He's taught me well. He always makes sure I have meds on hand, how to take care of him, what to do if one thing happens to the another thing happens. He always makes sure that I have everything under control, because he knew I was on the road and how to take care of him. Now my vet's a little farther away, which I hope to get him in to see him and get a thorough checkup, because I prefer this vet, because my vet that I've had, even though there's vets out here if I have an emergency, but if not, I'm going to try to schedule an appointment and get him also checked out and thoroughly from the vet that I trust and that I've had for so long, okay? All right, so with that in mind, see, he's quite comfortable. I mean, there he is. He's not panting. He says, hi, I just want to go sheepies. He's just, he's very content. He's not, let me see if I can get this out here for you. See, he's very content. He's just sleeping. He's no, if a dog is under a lot of stress, they're going to be panting. They're going to be restless. They're not going to want to lay comfortably. They're just going to show those signs of, I am miserable. I've been through it. I've been through it with my shepherd. I've been, yeah, so he's not showing any of those signs, okay? Other than in the morning when we go to walk, he's kind of scurrying. He's just having quite a bit of a tough time in the morning. But he does better later on. Okay, so just wanted to clear that up. And it's all good. I'm very hopeful. I'm thinking of getting him a little stroller, so that way he could, he likes to be with me. So when I'm walking, I let him do his little walk, and then when he's done, I could toss him in a stroller, and he can continue the walk with me. So that's why I want to do that. But it is important for him to keep that movement going as well. Okay, so other than that, now that if you have any questions or need more information to make a suggestion, feel free to ask that in the comments, and then we'll go from there. But nothing is absolutely restricting his movements. Cold will cripple him up faster than anything else in this wet, crazy Northwest cold. It really will. I know it because I'm feeling it. Okay? All right, so I love you all. We're doing good, one day at a time, and everything's going to be fine. All right, see you in the next video, and I'll keep you informed how he's doing.